Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new Destiny video. Today I'm going to be discussing something that I've been very interested in for pretty much since the game came out. So as you can see here, I've got my beautiful level 32 Hunter. So here we have our two subclasses. Now for those of you who don't know, there are three elemental damage types in Destiny: Solar, Arc, and Void. So here on the Hunter, we have the Gunslinger subclass, which uses Solar. As you can see here, it's the orangey, fiery type thing. The second one called Blade Dancer, which is the blue lightning electricity type thing. And here we have an empty space here. So this, and also we are also missing a Void subclass. So what does this mean? There's room for a third subclass here. So that means the Hunter should be getting a new Void-based subclass. And this is exactly the same for the Warlock and the Titan. The Warlock has its two subclasses, Sunsinger, which is Solar-based, and Void Walker, which is Void-based. So it has the space for a Arc subclass, and the Titan is also the same. It has the Striker Arc-based subclass and the Defender Void-based subclass. This is an article I took from Gamerrant.com, which speculates some leaks about possible new subclasses. This article is a few months old, but I'll still leave a link to it in the description box down below. So I'll just read out the whole thing here. First up, the Titan, who's reportedly getting a new subclass called Crusader. The Crusader super will let the player shoot out a large horizontal beam of light from their chest, taking out any enemies in its wake. Upgrades for the super are said to make the beam larger, shoot through walls, or shoot in front and behind the player. The three grenade options for Crusader are said to be a triple grenade, a grenade that players drop behind them while fleeing, and a melee deterrent grenade that explodes outward from the player when they are hit. So that's what the Titan is reported to have. This one actually sounds really interesting to me, particularly the second grenade there. A grenade that players drop behind them while they are fleeing. Now this is probably going to be very cool to use in the lamps in Crota's End Raid. When there are like a million Thrall behind you chasing you, that is going to be a really cool thing to use while running away from those mobs of Thrall. So next up here we have the Warlock, which has a new subclass called Arc Thrower. Its super spawns a giant orb of light that shoots lightning at nearby enemies. Upgrades to the super apparently increase the orb's attack range, give it chain lightning, or spawn the orb further from the player. The grenade types for the Arc Thrower are an Arc Grenade that has a detonator, a grenade that gives the player health, and a fence grenade that creates an electric barrier around the player. So the way I picture this one in my head is the Warlock jumps up in a similar way as Sunsinger, and instead of just blowing up into fire, it shoots electric bolts all around it. That's how I imagine it. And also some of these grenades, I think, for both the Crusader and Arc Thrower, they seem very sort of different and unique from the current grenades in the supers, like an electric barrier around the player, a grenade that gives the player health. These are very interesting, sort of more unique grenades that we're not used to seeing in Destiny. And finally, the Trapper for the Hunter. So the super is apparently called Voidwell, and it places a trap on the battlefield. While in the Voidwell, enemies can't jump and have reduced movement. When upgraded, the Voidwell can apparently reduce enemy movement and completely restrict opponent abilities, or increase the size of the well. On the grenade front, the Trapper has a Void Grenade that sticks to any surface, similar to a trip mine, a Bolus type grenade that prevents players from jumping and slows their movement, and something called Caltrops that sounds like a bunch of devastating mini grenades. And this one's going to be very interesting to me because I am out and out a hunter, and I really like my golden gun, so it'll be interesting to see, if these are true of course, if the Trapper will take its place as my favourite super in Destiny. Now, although it's more than likely we'll be getting a third subclass option, this little space you see next to the subclasses, which indicates there's a third subclass that's going to be introduced, this box isn't actually what you think it is. This is an article I found, it's from way back in December, so ages and ages ago. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description so you can read it for yourself. But essentially, they're talking to one of Destiny's lead designers, and what he says is there's actually a reason why there's a third class slot. Now, way back before Destiny was actually released, Bungie was talking about a thing called locking down subclasses. So what this actually means is, take the Gunslinger subclass for example. You have these specific perks for the subclass that you really like and you use most of the time. So this perk set up here, and this is what you use most of the time for, say, PvP. Back in an early build of Destiny, you had this option to lock down the subclass, and what this meant was, this would enhance all the perks that you chose for this subclass, but you wouldn't be able to change any of the perks after that. This is really committing to this style of subclass. So it meant you used the perks that you really liked, and these perks would be enhanced, but you wouldn't be able to change to any other perks. And what this third box was for was so that you could, say, copy the Gunslinger subclass and have a different setup with different perks for it. So say you wanted a PvP setup with PvP style perks of Gunslinger, and then a separate copy of Gunslinger with, say, PvE perks, and you could enhance those perks. So essentially you'd have an enhanced version of Gunslinger for PvP, an enhanced version of Gunslinger for PvE. This is essentially the system that Bungie were going to use for Destiny, but they decided to cut it out for the final game. So this third slot was basically for the space for a copy of your favourite subclass, so that you could have two lockdown enhanced versions of it. So then why would they leave this third box here if they took out that system ages and ages before the game was released? Why would they bother to keep this thing in? Well, the designer didn't dismiss the possibility of additional subclasses entirely. What he said was, it shouldn't be read as a tacit promise, but the fact that subclasses are swappable should make players excited about the future. So basically what this means is, this isn't what the box was originally for, but this is probably what it's going to be for now. So what he's saying is, the fact that they've gone with this setup and this style of subclass options, and the fact that they've left in this third box means we're more than likely going to be getting this third subclass, the fact that they've left in this box. So if we are actually getting these new subclasses, when can we actually expect to get this crap? Well, it's most likely going to be released with the Comet Plague of Darkness expansion. And for those of you who don't know, this is basically a huge expansion that Destiny is going to get in September 2015, much bigger than House of Wolves, Dark Below, any of that. I'm going to make an entirely separate video on it because I actually know very little about it myself, and I'm going to inform myself and others about Comet. From what I know, it's going to include 2 new weapon types, most likely these new subclasses, and a whole lot more, so look out for a video on that. It's not going to be like a whole new game, it's not a Destiny 2 or anything. It's going to have a lot of content, it's going to be like a Destiny 2.0, but it's not actually a sequel to the game. So just look out for the video, I'll explain it all then. So if you're really looking forward to new subclasses, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait a fair amount of months, but we've got House of Wolves, right? Oh wait, no, we still haven't got it because they pushed it back because they hate us. Bungie, god damn you, Bungie.